Hello and welcome to New Frontiers on CCTV International. I'm Ji Xiaojun in Beijing. In our program today, we're continuing with our major series, Chinese Civilization. Prior to 221 BC, there had never been a unified China. During the Warring States period, which preceded the country's unification, 7 major states had ruled the territory that we know roughly as China: Qi, Chu, Yan, Qin, Han, Zhao, and Wei. Of these 7, Chu was the most powerful, while Qi was the richest. Yet when the country was eventually unified, it was not done by Chu or Qi, but by Qin. Well, historians have long argued over how it was that Qin was able to supplant all its rivals. One thing that most of them agree on is that a major factor in Qin's rise to power was Shangyang's reforms.
When Qin Shi Huang unified China in the year 221 BC, he became China's first emperor. By the time of the Han Dynasty Emperor Wu Di, who reigned from 141 BC to 86 BC, a multi-ethnic nation dominated by the Han ethnic group was firmly established. The main currents of Han culture had taken their basic shape, and China was becoming known throughout the world as a powerful nation that was politically and culturally advanced. Within this great united country, all ethnic groups were able to give full expression to their creativity, and together they created Qin Han culture, the accomplishments of which have been a source of East Asian pride ever since. The ancestors of the Qin people came from an area called Quanqiu, which was located along the border between the present-day provinces of Gansu and Shanxi. Later, the Qin ruler moved his capital to Yongchang in present-day Fengshan County, Shanxi province. During the spring and autumn period, the Qin lived in the far west of the China of the time, and the rulers in the east of the country looked on the Qin people as uncultured barbarians. But they were wrong. Like the people in the East, the Qin also revered the rites and music of the culture of the great Zhou dynasty, and many Qin temples had bronze bells hanging in them just like the one seen here. The largest known tomb dating from the spring and autumn period is Royal Tomb No. 1 at Yongchang. This inscription tells us that the rulers buried here were descendants of Emperor Huangdi, or the Yellow Emperor, and members of the Chinese ethnic group. In the year 356 BC, the state of Qin began to become powerful after Duke Qin Xiaogong appointed Shangyang to reform the state's legal system.
春秋战国时期呢，战国各个国家互相打仗，人民也需要统一。那孟子说了“五虎定”，你怎么能统一呢？怎么能安定呢？定于一，天下的人心所向呢，需要统一。那么光有这个愿望不行，如何来统一呢？那就要废除旧的政治制度，实现新的政治制度，那就是废除分封制，实行郡县制。哪个国首先做这个工作的呢？是商鞅变法，秦国。
After Shangyang instituted political reforms in the state of Qin, the hereditary rights the nobility had enjoyed were abolished, and all rewards and punishments were based on military accomplishments.
在天下上有功的当官，无功的呢，不在天下打仗的，但是在国内在行政机构 有功有劳，天天少叫功，后方的也有功劳的叫劳，凡是有功有劳的呢，提拔了当官，这些人就代替了旧贵族。这是商鞅的政治改革的根本的一条。
Another basic pillar of Shang Yang's reforms was the policy of developing the economy by emphasizing agriculture. Qin law stipulated that anyone who destroyed or misused public property had to compensate for the loss. If someone used a broken iron agricultural tool that should not have been used, he wasn't fined, but his name was recorded in a book. A large number of iron shovels and scythes were excavated from Royal Tomb No. 1. This shows that as early as the mid-5th century BC, iron agricultural tools were already in use in the state of Qin. This encouraged farmers to cultivate virgin soil, and the result was greatly increased agricultural production, and this in turn supported population growth. Abundant harvests of grain led the rulers of the state of Qin to have granaries built throughout the kingdom. A granary in the capital, Xianyang, could hold 3,000 tons.
谁有地呢？谁种地，谁有地算谁的，到国家去登记，拿税就行了。不是用国家的权利来保护你的贵族的土地占有权利，而是谁有功劳呢？以功劳行田者，谁有功劳给你田地，给你房子，这就把所有制改变了。
Duke Qin Xiaogong gave Wei Yang 15 cities in the area known as Shangdi, which is in today's Danfeng County, Shanxi province. And after that, Wei Yang changed his name to Xiangyang. Even today, eave tiles bearing the Chinese character Shang can still be found in the rammed earth here. With the help of Xiangyang, the king of the state of Qin moved the capital to Xianyang. Xianyang was situated on the yellow earth tableland at the heart of the Central Plains near the confluence of the Jinghe and Weihe rivers. Behind it was a large expanse of fertile virgin land. After the unification of the country, Xianyang became the first capital of dynastic China. In the 100 years following Xiangyang's legal reforms, the state of Qin rapidly became the most powerful of the warring states. Its army was known for its incomparable valor, and all the other states were intimidated by it. In the year 221 BC, the king of the state of Qin unified the country, ending the division of the nation that had lasted for centuries. With that, the first centralized feudal empire in Chinese history, the Qin dynasty, was established, and the nation's ruler called himself Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor. The territory that Qin Shi Huang unified covered 3 million square kilometers. At the time, it was the largest country in the world.
North 边呢，到现在的这个应该说是长城沿线，从辽东半岛西部到这个甘青一带，这个东部呢到现在的沿海，是吧？就是我们的渤海、黄海、东海，甚至南海。这个西部呢到甘青高原的这个或者东部东沿，南部呢现在我刚才谈到了 到了南海的这个北部，是吧？这样一个广阔的国土，在当时的世界上，公元前20世纪以前的世界上呢，是能够说可以和它相比的，就是西方的罗马帝国。但是罗马帝国的疆域呢，比它小得多。
There is an old Chinese saying, to rule a country is far more difficult than to win it. And suddenly, Emperor Qin Shi Huang faced a major challenge in establishing his authority over such a vast territory.
The unification had created a country of unprecedented size, and the question of how to go about governing and administering it was a difficult one to answer. After numerous court officials offered their opinions, in the end, the Qin court discarded the system of fiefdoms that had been in place since the Zhou dynasty and had divided the country into 36 prefectures. These prefectures were further divided into counties, which were in turn divided into townships and villages. All prominent local, military and civilian officials were responsible to the central government, and the positions were not hereditary. What took shape in the time of the Qin dynasty was a unified country under a central government. It was a political system that later dynasties would regard as a model, and eventually it evolved into the system of provinces and prefectures still in use in China today.
我所秦始皇建立的中央集权制度呢，它有2个大前提，第一个是多民族的，第二个是大一统的，在这个基础上形成的国家制度，那么这叫多民族大一统中央集权制度。
The land of China was spread over a vast territory, and there were minority ethnic groups in almost all parts of it, especially in the middle and upper reaches of the Yellow and Yangtze rivers and north of the Great Wall. In addition, there were numerous clans of the Yue ethnic group in the south, while from Yunnan to Sichuan lived the Yi ethnic group. In Guangxi, there were numerous smaller ethnic groups. During the Western Han Dynasty, counties with high concentrations of minorities were called Dao, that is, ethnic autonomous counties. This was a system that had its origins in the Qin dynasty.
中央有10几个部，有2个部管少数民族。那从中央的角度来说，对于少数民族的重视已经够可以的了吧？是吧？你说这2个部是为了打仗，不是，是为了协调民族关系。这种协调呢，主要是容纳。所以我说秦始皇呢，他这个中央集权国家呢，第一条是多民族的国家。
During the Warring States period, each state had its own currency, and the size and shape of the coins differed from state to state. After unification, Qin Shi Huang ordered that the currencies of the 6 conquered states be scrapped, and that a new universal currency system based on Qin currency be adopted. At the same time, Qin Shi Huang instituted a universal system of weights, measures and standards, also based on the Qin system. Archaeologists have uncovered a complete copy of Qin Shi Huang's decree promulgating this reform of measures and standards, and the tools to be used. In the field of transportation, Qin Shi Huang decreed a standard track width for carts. The earliest form of written Chinese developed during the Shang and Zhou dynasties, and the words were originally all written in the same way. But as the writing system evolved during the Spring and Autumn period and Warring States period, in many cases the same word ended up being written differently in different parts of the country. Qin Shi Huang decreed that the style of writing known as seal writing style be adopted throughout China. This unified writing system was to play a huge role in strengthening the unity of the Chinese nation. Although we are separated from the Qin dynasty by more than 2,000 years, archaeologists are constantly uncovering evidence of its past glories. Building number 1 of the Qin Palace at Xianyang was a 3-tier structure built on a base of rammed earth, and these computer-generated images reveal its magnificence. The ruins of the Great Hall of the Palace not only yielded a large number of hollow bricks decorated with bas-relief dragons, but also the earliest wall mural from a royal palace in ancient China.
The Qing dynasty, when China was united for the first time ever, can unquestionably be called one of the most glorious periods in a country's history. And there can be no more powerful symbol of Qing's glory than the magnificent terracotta warriors and the tomb of Emperor Qin Shi Huang, not to mention the Great Wall.
In the spring of 1974, China's central plains were experiencing a severe drought, and so some peasants in Shanxi decided to dig a 5-meter deep well in search of water. But instead of finding water, they uncovered a magical world dating back more than 2,000 years. It would turn out to be the greatest archaeological discovery of the 20th century. 2 years of exploratory work revealed that buried at the site was a massive quantity of warriors and horses made of terracotta. Their purpose had been to protect the tomb of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China. After the site was excavated, it was found to contain terracotta foot soldiers, charioteers, and mounted warriors, all of which were commanded by officers whose ranks were distinguished by the armor they wore. The clothing worn by these soldiers reveals details about the station each of them held. The weapons they carry, meanwhile, would be enough to deter anyone from challenging them. A complete inventory of the 3 burial pits reveals they contain nearly 8,000 terracotta warriors and horses, and more than 140 wooden chariots. Due to Xiangyang's legal reforms, the military power of the state of Qin became highly centralized. No troop movements involving more than 50 men could occur except by royal command, and such commands had to be accompanied by a tiger-shaped tally that guaranteed their authenticity. One half of this tally was held by the emperor, and the other half by the general. In 215 BC, the Qin general Meng Tian led an army of 300,000 to take control of the Yin mountain range and the plains to the south. In order to strengthen the country's northern border, General Meng Tian built the largest military fortification in the country's history, the Great Wall. The western starting point of the Great Wall is in present-day Minxian County, Gansu Province. From there, the wall stretches more than 5,000 kilometers eastward into the Liaodong Peninsula. Construction of the Great Wall began in the Qin dynasty, but continued on through the Han and later dynasties. It would become one of the great wonders of the world and a symbol of the enterprising spirit of the Chinese people. But the great construction projects of the Qin dynasty are not limited to the Great Wall. A few years after beginning construction on the Great Wall, the Qin court began building a road more than 700 kilometers long. This ancient highway runs north and south from present-day Shanxi deep into Inner Mongolia. Half of this road runs through mountains and half across plains. When it was built, it was the longest state road in the world, yet this massive project was completed in just 2.5 years. It is truly an historical wonder. In the year 220 BC, the chief minister of the Qin court advocated building a road eastward to Shandong and then south to the lower reaches of the Yangtze River. It was to facilitate the high-speed travel of the time, and as such, it was to be the world's first superhighway. After he unified China, Qin Shi Huang went on 5 inspection tours of the country, and on 3 of these trips, he took this highway, which is known as Chidao Road. Qin Shi Huang died in the summer of 209 BC. At the time, he was on one of these inspection tours. He was only 50 years old. What Qin Shi Huang left behind was a unified country, and it is an eternal monument to his greatness. The lands on both sides of the Great Wall are the native soil of the Chinese people. But during the Han Dynasty, the Great Wall was looked on as a shield protecting the farmlands of the Central Plains from incursions by the nomadic tribes to the north. However, the wall couldn't stop cavalry from beyond China's borders from striking at the heartland. Where are the brave warriors to stand guard over my land? Shortly after winning a civil war and establishing the Han Dynasty, Liu Bang was lamenting the fact that the country was far from secure against attacks from the north. It was in that year that Liu Bang completed construction of Weiyang Palace in the city of Chang'an. These are the remains of the capital of the Han Dynasty at Chang'an, which lies on the south bank of the Weishui River. Work began on the capital in the year 202 BC, the first year after the establishment of the Han Dynasty. However, although the city's name means eternal peace, the city was far from peaceful. Cavalry from the north frequently crossed the Great Wall and on one occasion even made it as far as the outskirts of Chang'an itself. At the time, the Han court was still relatively weak and was not yet strong enough to stand up to these nomads from the north.
Within just 2 years of the death of Emperor Qin Shi Huang, the dynasty he founded collapsed. Incredibly, considering the numerous splendid historical and cultural relics it left behind, the Qing dynasty only lasted for 15 years. Thank you for staying with us on New Frontiers and tuning in again next time when we'll continue with our major series about Chinese civilization. I'm Ji Xiaojun from CCTV International. Bye for now.